So I feel like we give so much attention to the figures that we never really get a chance to talk about the accessories and how much they make a difference. Like seriously, some of these things really make figures shine and make a difference between a regular vanilla pose and an epic reconstruction of a scene from the anime. But before we get into this, let's lay down some criteria that I'll be basing this top 5 on. First off, and probably most importantly, a good accessory should look good. And if an accessory looks like garbage, well then what's the point of having it? Might as well print out a picture of whatever it is and use that instead. Second, accessories that are technically separate hands will not be counted for this video. That means Scouter Vegeta's over 9000 hand and Whis' spoon hand. Third, I think a good accessory should be usable among different characters. Now that isn't to say an accessory unique to a specific character can't be good, but the more characters that can use it, the more displays you can set up. The more you can technically get out of it for your money. So any accessories that fit the criteria previously mentioned will get bonus points in this case as well. Alright, let's throw in a few honorable mentions before we get started. Alright, so first off is the Kamehameha charge effect. It's a great piece, but I feel in this case they should have made it more look like the prototype, and less like a moon in the center. Now we also have Kaio-Ken Goku's, which is red, but all in all, I'm still not digging the center of this thing too much. Next up, we got Chaozu. While it was cool to get another character with a figure, I feel like you could probably pick another Chaozu up somewhere online for a couple bucks that can actually stand up or move his arms as well. Another honorable mention is the Cyberman. Again, it's really great to have this included, but it's kind of tough to have just one. I'm not complaining or saying that we should have got more than one in a box, but I'm just saying one is a lonely number for this guy. Alright, so another couple of mentions are Android 17's gun and the holster for said gun. Great pieces here, but for me, Dragon Ball is an anime where guns don't really have a place, and I can't really rave too much about these accessories. While definitely well done, I wouldn't say they make the top 5. Another mention goes out to Vegeto's Spirit Sword. This is simply on here just because it's pretty unique, and the only other similar effect that we will be getting is Goku Black's sword. Kind of a different one here, but Frieza's tail. I've never really used the non-chopped off version of it, but hey, it's there and it definitely looks cool to have this option with Frieza as well. And last honorable mention goes out to Kid Goku's Nimbus. Cool to have, not sure if it's quite large enough for adult Goku, but hey, I love bases, and I'd say this counts as one. It sure beats cotton balls. Lastly, please remember that this is a subjective list. It's fine to disagree, but if you do so in a rude way, I'm just not even going to respond to you. Let's get into it. Oh yeah, and if you haven't already, check out the first episode of the Z Files. First episode is all about Broly. It's a new series I'm working on. Think you guys will like it. So coming in at number 5 is the Sdcc Kaio-Ken Goku's Kaio-Ken Aura. Now let me just start out by saying that if this was yellow or maybe even blue, it'd probably be higher on this list. But as of right now, it's pretty much exclusive to Goku, unless you make it work for Frieza somehow. But this was the first actual complete aura effect regarding power-ups that we saw included with the release, and it's too bad it wasn't a regular release. But I mean, half the show is spent with characters engulfed in auras, and to finally have one, albeit a uniquely colored one, adds big time value to this accessory, until of course people came to own the separately released accessories, which I still don't have either. Okay, so at number 4 we sort of have a tie, and for this one, kind of a cheat on the top 5, but the following accessories made the list because they're just so well done for the time of release and pretty much give you that much added depth when posing their respective characters, and they are Piccolo and Gohan's capes, as well as Trunks' sword and the sheep for said sword. So with the capes, like I said, yes, they're just capes, but for their time of release, they're pretty well done in terms of the sculpt, the shading, and just a solid overall paint job. And I mean, on top of that, let's be real, they pretty much give you a whole nother form of the characters if you want them to look that way. Just more bang for your buck when you buy the figures. And it definitely helps that these are regular releases, so any reissues won't leave new fans missing out on them. Now with Trunks' sword and its sheath, it's the same thing. Mind you, there are some minor issues with the pegs on the sheath, but lots of detail and no real aesthetic issues on these items either. And again, for their time of release, they were very well done. The reason that they aren't higher on this list is because they're pretty much character exclusive, with the exception of the sword, of course, if you want to get crazy. Coming in at number 3, we have the Super Saiyan 3 aura effects. This made the list because it pretty much saves the original Super Saiyan 3 Goku from being a total monstrosity. The second factor that puts it up here is that it can be used with anybody. Doesn't even have to be a Saiyan. If I had this effect, you'd best believe I'd have it around my Super Saiyan Vegeta in a final flash charging pose. Also, the fact that you can disassemble it into separate parts, and while it may take some ingenuity, pull off a more unique placement with each separate piece. This is something definitely giving the buyer their money's worth. The fact that it can work with any stage effect stand is a big plus as well, as it doesn't need to be clipped onto a figure by a peg, which means it doesn't run the risk of breaking or snapping off if you're not careful. Lastly, this aura effect is unique from the actual other aura effects Tamashii has been releasing separately in the form of its shape. Okay, coming in at number 2 is an accessory that came with another villain, Frieza's rock. Now aside from this rock, Frieza actually came with a decent amount of stuff, and fortunately with the release of PC Frieza, we will be seeing the return of this decent amount of stuff. More specifically, he came with a Death Ball effect, Death Beam, and the rock as you see here. Now I think the Death Beam is pretty great, the Death Ball is okay, but the rock, ladies and gents, is where it's at. I know, crazy right? But let me explain. So this rock is pretty great, not only because it looks great, but also because you can use it with anybody, man. I mean, how many fight scenes in the anime took place in the Wastelands? That's right, this rock doesn't have to represent Planet Namek. I wish Golden Frieza came with this rock too, as he just looks dope on it. I mean, aside from having footprints and pegs specifically for Frieza, you can still make it work for just about any other character. Cell, Scout or Vegeta, anybody, man. Well, maybe with the exception of 16, Nappa, and Broly. Now finally coming in at number 1, we have Cell's Kamehameha and its base. So just like Frieza, Cell actually came with a base accessory and an energy blast effect. What was it with the villains having better accessories than good guys back then? Was it fear of lower sales in Japan? As I believe villains are less popular than heroes in Japanese culture. Anyway, let me just say that this base is wicked, man. Like, I know Figuarts strives to capture iconic moments from the character, and what else is as iconic as a Kamehameha struggle between Cell and Gohan? Sliding into my next point is just that. This effect goes so well with battle damage Gohan, and realistically can be used with anyone else to come up with some sort of blast scene. What's more is that the details are so great on this thing. It could have came out drab and one-dimensional, but they went as far as to include little pieces of dirt and ground flying up in the waves of energy, as well as actual variations in the waves of energy themselves. Very nice touch of translucency running through, as well as opacity running through as the waves. We definitely need to see more of this on 2.0 releases, man. Now for the blast itself, it's alright. I mean, from what I can see, I prefer the PC colored blast. But I mean, definitely a welcome inclusion again, as you can use this with any other character that produces blue or white key blasts as well. Alright guys, so that's my top 5 accessories as of March 2018. Again, this is a very opinionative list and was pretty tough to come up with in the first place with the order, as we really don't have an accessory in my opinion that leads ahead of anything else yet. Thanks for watching guys, and you know what I always say, may the best year today be the worst year tomorrow. Peace.